It's spiritual law, the more you give, the more you get. I'm not looking to get more, but it's just how the universe works, So I believe in that. So I give a lot and I get a lot.
What does it mean to give a voice to the voiceless?
Well, perfect example is our film Cicada. It's based off a true story. Matt shared an intimate part of his life and the abuse that he went through. And it was very hard for him to share that. And I remember when we were doing test screenings of our film that we'd have people that we don't know come to the screenings to give feedback because we don't want people to say what we want to hear. We want constructive criticism. And this one guy came at the end, came up to Matt specifically and said, "This was me. I've never had, I've never been able to tell anyone and what I've went through, and thank you so much for making this. Like you've given a voice. And that was the first time we had heard it, and we've traveled all over Europe recently with the film and all over the country with the film. It's played at various festivals and it was in theaters, and there were so many people, so many men that have come up and shared with the team, Matt, myself, Kieran, that we've given them a voice. So.
Do a lot of them say they were family members that did this, or a friend of the family?
I think it's a combination of both. Like they didn't all go into like great detail about it, but they just wanted to acknowledge that they had gone through it, they understand it, and how our project was therapeutic. So yeah, that was more or less how.
And Cicada is also about a relationship too. It's not all about abuse. It's about two men that find love.
Yeah, it's about an interracial relationship between these two guys that meet, over a summer. And it deals with, bisexuality, which is not touched upon in film a lot. In the interracial relationship, the dynamics of that. And also deals with trauma, because there's a lot of trauma around both characters.
And it's at the Spirit Awards, correct?
Yes, it's nominated for Best First Screenplay.
Very cool. Did you think that it would have a chance, or did people say, "Oh, this is not going to sell. This is not going to be something people will be interested in. It might scare people."
In terms of
Anything, whether it's the bisexuality, the abuse,
in terms of
interracial.
what's selling the movie,
Yeah,
or
would it be too much of a hard sell, or would people welcome it with open arms because finally people were telling stories that it seemed like had been pushed to the side?
along the way, I feel like we made so many errors on that project. We didn't know what to expect. I knew it was a good script, and it changed because of certain things that had happened to Sheldon in real life, which molded into the script. So what we went in with initially wasn't what we thought we would end with. And I think that we ultimately did win the Kenneth Raining Grant, and we got funding from SF Film and Kenneth Raining Grant. And one of the reasons I think that they got behind us was our POV, our point of view, and that we were telling a very, challenging story, and we needed the support. And after we, won it, they basically got TFI, Tribeca Film Institute, involved, and we were part of a special segment at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2019. And at that point, we didn't know where we were going to land, but we had meetings with everybody under the sun, from A24 to you name it, that were interested in one. So we knew we had something special. And that's where we met our sales rep, Jeffrey Winter at Film Collaborative, who ultimately really helped the entire process, because he understands the queer space very well. He's been very successful in the queer space. And at the time when we shot the film, my producing partner, Jeremy, was 21. He had just graduated NYU. Everyone was in their 20s. I was 34, so I was the grandfather of the whole group. We were a very young team, and we made a lot of errors and mistakes. And Jeffrey gave us guidance. He gave us confidence in terms of the project. He was like a godfather to Matt. And he made a lot of introductions and really supported the film. And he gave us the pros and cons in terms of all of the distributors that we're speaking with. And that really helped the project. So we knew we were going to land somewhere. We didn't know where we were going to land. And the great thing is that we had options of who we wanted to go with in the US and many of the other countries that we ended up getting a deal in. So yeah, it kind of shaped throughout the process.
And were there certain other countries that were very open to the film and then others that refused to have it?
Well, we haven't sold all the territories yet, so I think that there's maybe still opportunities to do that. I don't think it'll sell in Russia, because they're anti-queer. So anywhere that's anti-queer probably is not going to work. And it was interesting being in Poland because their government, the country's fascist, their government is anti-queer. If you want to call it a blue dot, Warsaw and Poznan are the two places that are. And it was, quite a feat to be able to get the film there. And there was some, concerns about going there. The team was nervous about going there and like, what if something can happen? And, but our Polish distributor took really good care of us. And, we were with someone the entire time and they picked us up and kind of had security detail, with that. And when I spoke to the people of Poznan, Poznan is the biggest queer city in Poland. They were just thrilled to have us. And I asked, how is it to live out there? What is it like? And, they consider themselves freedom fighters, and standing up for their rights. And this is the way it is. They're not going to back down. Warsaw is a much bigger city. I want to say that they're just a lot more open, there, with that in consideration. But we were well received in both cities. And I want to say with all the other cities that we've played in so far, that's been the case. They were just happy that we're able to come and engage, do intros and do detailed Q&As, with the audience. And the film is coming out in France, I think this month or next month. We're not going to make that leg. The French didn't necessarily play nice with all the other distributors because when we went out there, it was a coordination between our UK distributor, our Polish distributor, and German distributor. So France said, we're going to release when we want to, when we feel like it. We don't need to coordinate with them, So we'll be coming out, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge hit, in France and throughout France.
So no other countries aside from those? Just it sounds like.
I believe Switzerland as well, because when we showed Germany, certain parts of Switzerland are German speaking, I believe, and there were talks about Portugal, but those are all the locations for right now.
Why is it your mission to make these stories?
My mission to tell these stories is very important because now I'm going to get spiritual with you. I consider myself a light worker, and what a light worker is someone in whatever industry or business uses their skills or their talents to make the world a better place and be kind and help mankind. And I believe when God gives you, or the Creator gives you certain tools, it's your responsibility to share that with the world. So I enjoy helping people. And there was a class that the New York Times had talked about at Harvard that everyone was looking to get into. And it was a class on happiness. The class had sold out. This was like a couple of years ago. And ultimately, when they broke down the class, it was that people are happy when they help other people. That's really what it is. So I enjoy helping other people. I help all walks of life, doesn't matter religion, creed, whatever. And I know that if it was me or if it was my family member and I needed the help, because there's times where I do need help, and it's not always necessarily, what I'm giving, I'm asking for back. But there's times that I may struggle with something, or as a diabetic, or there was this one time where I legit lost my wallet in Manhattan, and I had no way to get around or get into anything. And like, this person at Chase was very kind to let me take some of my money out so I can get home. But I've had times where I've lost. Unfortunately, it happened a few times where I've lost my wallet, and it's not that I don't have money. It's just I didn't have money on me to be able to get to where I need to go, do what I need to do. And everyone needs help with something. So I believe that it's my responsibility to share that with the world, whether it's speaking engagements, doing an HBCU tour, producing these films around these issues, doing social impact, trying to find someone that was falsely incarcerated and trying to help rehabilitate them. Because I'm aware, the fact that I'm aware. If I wasn't aware, it's different. But I'm aware and I can do something. Why not? It's not hurting me. It's only helping others, and it's helping me. And it's spiritual law, the more you give, the more you get. I'm not looking to get more, but it's just how the universe works, So I believe in that. So I give a lot and I get a lot.
When did you realize you were a light worker?
I want to say it was around that same time in 2016 when I was in Istanbul. I started meeting a lot more light workers and energy healers, and learning more about this world. I had this woman that was very dear to me, named Arlie, and she was a big inspiration. I learned a lot, through her, and met a lot of her friends and colleagues that were that shaped my character and point of view on these things. So I want to say that the tipping point was probably around 2016.
Have you ever tried to help someone that didn't want help?
All the time, but one of the things that I've learned is that I have to respect that, because I can't, because if I force it on them, it's going to backfire, and I may take their karma, at the same time. So they have to ask for it, they have to ask for the help and want the help, because they're not going to value it at the same time. So in the beginning, or not in the beginning, before, I was really I found my flow, I'd overstep. I'd offer advice when people would ask me advice. I'd help people when they didn't ask for help, and it would backfire on me, because maybe I'd get frustrated and, like, wait, we didn't ask you to do this. You didn't have to do it. I didn't want you to do this, so there's no appreciation. So, and I just learned it wasn't on me. Like, it wasn't my place to tell someone what they should do. If they come to me and ask, it's a different thing if they ask for help. But it was a hard lesson to learn. And even now, with like family and friends, people that I really care and love, sometimes I want to do stuff for them, but it's not my place. And I have to, respect their boundary and respect that spiritual law, that boundary.